do we have news? So the Dallas Cowboys shock the world, or maybe just me, and trade Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. I did not see this coming. I need to start off by holding myself accountable and say I was way, way wrong. I'm still in shock because just yesterday I said there's no way he's getting traded to the Green Bay Packers or any other team for just 2 first-round picks and another player. And that's exactly what the Cowboys did today. I am in absolute shock. I think this is one of the dumbest trades you could ever do. And it's just, again, these Dallas teams, the Mavericks with Luka, and now the Cowboys with Micah. It's not necessarily that I think it's super dumb to trade the player. It's the way in which you do it. Like with Luka, okay, if you don't believe in Luka, you want to trade him. Do I think you're wrong? Yes, but that's fine. Trade him, but you would, you know, shop him around, see what you could get, try to get more. And the Cowboys with Micah Parsons picked, in my opinion, the absolute worst time to do this. This is, again, I said this yesterday and I'll keep harping on it, but why would you trade him for 2 first-round draft picks from a team that, A, is not ass? The Packers are a good football team. They're going to be good. They're not going to be 4-13. So, A, trade Micah Parsons for 2 first-round picks to a good team. And not just that, but do that right now before the start of the season when what would have hurt if you waited? Like, what is the downside to waiting? And if Micah doesn't play, then Micah doesn't play. And he can keep sacrificing money. It's just, my brain is all over the place because I can't understand how you do this trade. I think the Cowboys got fleeced in this trade. Micah Parsons is arguably the best edge rusher in the game. And look, the bias, you can say I have it as a Vikings fan, but I try to purposely kind of sometimes overly go against my bias to try to balance that out. Just because you got fleeced doesn't necessarily mean that the team that fleeced you, it's a good trade for them. I think it is a fine trade for the Packers, but I do think that now the pressure is on in Green Bay. You are basically saying Jordan Love and Micah Parsons take us there. And it could happen, but I don't think you have good receivers. I don't think the lines are incredibly, all I'm saying is trading for Micah Parsons right now, in my opinion, doesn't make the Packers Super Bowl favorites. You could argue it makes them NFC North favorites. Sure, I'll give you that for sure. But does it make them Super Bowl favorites, or do you believe in Jordan Love enough that this makes them a Super Bowl contender? I don't believe it. And you can call me biased. That's totally fine and fair. I'm a Vikings fan. I get that. But I don't think that having Micah Parsons, you lose Kenny Clark, I think that's fine. But you pay Micah Parsons now $47 million a year, $120 million guaranteed for the next 4 years. But he's tied in now with Jordan Love. That's a lot of cap space for your quarterback and your defensive end, which means now everything else around it has to be, cheaper players. Now, Matthew Golden, the wide receiver the Packers drafted, if he's a stud, you're in business. Absolutely. If he is a stud, if he is a CeeDee Lamb, a Justin Jefferson, a Jamar Chase, then the Packers are real Super Bowl contenders. But right now, I don't think that makes them Super Bowl contenders this year. Next year, you don't have a first-round pick now because you traded it to Dallas, or the year after. So you got to hope that the draft picks that you do have and the young players that you do have now are the answer, because you're not really getting an influx of new high draft picks now since you just trade away your first-round picks for the next 2 years. So do you do this trade if you're the Packers? Well, that's up to their fan base and obviously them, because it does come with handicapping yourself in spending in free agency and getting other players now to come there. Because now you are essentially, like I said, saying Jordan Love and Micah Parsons, you guys are the ones who are going to take us to the promised land. And maybe it works out, but that is up to every Packer fan who knows their team better than me to decide, do we believe that Jordan Love and this team is legit? And if you do, then it's great. You do this deal and it's a good trade for you guys. But If you have questions, you're going all in now. The Bears did this, and they went all in with Khalil Mack, and teams have done this before. And the only teams that it's worked out for seem to be the Rams, who went all in when they, traded for all these players. They traded with the Jaguars. They made big moves and gave up draft picks for, that was Jalen Ramsey that they brought in, and they worked out. But they also had Matthew Stafford, who had proven that he could do it and be an elite quarterback with the Lions. So, again, it worked out for them. It could work out for the Packers, but I think Jordan Love's going to have to take a step up. And if it's not Matthew Golden being his receiver, then who is it? Because they don't have that. And now they don't necessarily have the cap space to make a trade for T. Higgins or someone like that. So we'll see. But on the Cowboys side of things, I am in disbelief. I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. Why not wait? Just wait. You're essentially trading him right now at the lowest value. Also, with you trading him to the Packers, who's a good team, you're trading him for let me put it this way. Do you trade Micah Parsons for the 20th pick in 2026 and the 25th pick in 2027 and Kenny Clark? Or would you rather trade him for the 8th pick in this year's draft, a second pick in 2027, a second round pick in 2027, and a player like Kenny Clark? Make it Kenny Clark again. I would rather have the 8th pick in the draft. And the reason I'm giving that scenario is because you could trade him halfway through this season to a bad team, and at least, or an average team. They don't even, not the Saints, like who maybe at that time are 3-8. I'm saying an average team that's on the fringe of the playoffs, like the Panthers, let's say, who believe that they'll win out at the end of the year, and that will be the 18th pick in the draft, but there's also a chance that they could lose a couple games and it'll turn out being the 7th pick in the draft. That's who you would target the trade for, unless the Packers were giving you a haul. And this is not a haul. I don't get it. I think this is such a stupid trade. I get it that you don't want to pay him. I get everything except the trade and the timing of it. Again, I just don't understand it. You're pretty much, Micah Parsons now going to Green Bay. Again, paying him, that's Green Bay's problem. That's not your problem. You didn't even have to pay him. You didn't have to pay him. You could have kept him under his current deal. If he doesn't play, he's still going to maintain his value because he's not getting injured. So what? And teams could call you desperate, but technically they already were calling you desperate months ago. And if you're keeping him and you keep saying, hey, I got the franchise tag, like a franchise tag with him, franchise tag him with, you got control of him for 3 years. So technically you got no rush to trade him. So teams can call you desperate, but desperate is what deal you're actually willing to make. And this deal, to me, makes it seem like the Cowboys were desperate, and they shouldn't have been desperate. Jerry Jones has been preaching correctly, in my opinion, that they were not desperate. What's the rush for them? You have control over this guy for 3 years. And like I said yesterday, I think the rush for them was that they traded for George Pickens, gave up a 3rd-round pick for him. They don't have a deal with him, and he's a free agent after this year. So now you had 2 guys, and you had to pick and choose which one you were going to franchise. And if you franchise tagged Micah Parsons, you were risking letting George Pickens walk and essentially giving away a 3rd-round pick. That was the big mistake. If that George Pickens trade never happened, then I think the Cowboys today already know we are going to franchise tag Micah Parsons next year unless he agrees to our terms and our contract that we're offering him. And if he doesn't, then, that's on him. He can choose to sit out for the next 3 seasons if he'd like. But they could have said to him, this is what we're doing. You either take this deal at $40 million instead of $47 million a year, take this deal, or you're going to get your $20 million on your 5th-year rookie deal this year. You're going to get the franchise tag next year and the franchise tag the year after that. And we're telling you that right now because there's no one else on our roster that we're going to franchise tag. But they couldn't tell him that because George Pickens is in that locker room and a pending free agent. And they gave up a 3rd-round pick for him. Again, I'm at a loss of words. Can't believe it. I was wrong. I was definitely wrong. I did not expect this to happen. I did not see him going to Green Bay because I didn't think the Cowboys would be this stupid to do it right now. To do it right now to a team like Green Bay, who's going to be a good football team. So it's crazy. I mean, I'm looking this up real quick. 20th pick was Jahdae Barron, a cornerback from Texas. 21, Derek Harmon from Oregon. 22, Omarion Hampton. Matthew Golden was pick 23. All right. So essentially, think of that. Traded Micah Parsons for essentially Matthew Golden, who maybe he's a stud. We'll see. And a 2027 first round pick, and Kenny Clark, who's 29 years old. Didn't even throw in a future third or future fourth. I mean, Cowboys acted desperate. They shouldn't have been acting desperate. Jerry was saying all the right things, acting not desperate. And at the end of the day, I think he was desperate incorrectly. Cowboys gonna cowboy. That's all I got to say. Subscribe, share, comment. Let me know what y'all think. We will, I'm sure, keep discussing this as the week goes on. And now we got to reevaluate what we think of the Packers, because this makes them better. This definitely makes them better. Again, I don't know if they're winning the Super Bowl better, but this makes them better. This NFC North is no joke now. If you had Chicago finishing in second place or Minnesota finishing in second place, well, they might be third place now because Green Bay got better. That's for sure. Micah Parsons is arguably the best defensive player in the NFL. So, however, if they fall short, this is pretty much the peak, because there's not much you can do from here with that much cap space taken up with a essentially max paid quarterback and max paid defensive player. So he's the highest paid non-quarterback now. Congrats, Micah Parsons. You are a Green Bay Packer. You guys will be competing for the NFC North and possibly a Super Bowl. We'll see how it plays out.